Hi, I'm Assistant Professor Aditi Mathur, International Schools of Business Management, Suresh Gyan Vihar University, Jaipur. And in today's video lecture, we'll be learning how to calculate cost of equity. So before we begin with how to calculate the cost of equity, let us just have a quick recap on what do we mean by cost of capital. So cost of capital of a firm is that minimum rate of return expected by its investors. It is weighted average cost of various sources used by a firm. And today we'll be learning how to calculate cost of equity. The cost of capital is also referred to as cutoff rate, target rate, hurdle rate, minimum rate of return, and standard cost. So in our previous video lecture, we have learned how to calculate cost of debentures. So let us just have a quick recap on how to calculate cost of irredeemable debentures before tax. So it is equals to interest divided by the principal amount into 100. And if it is the case of issue at premium or discount, we simply divide it with net proceeds instead of principals. And the formula to calculate net proceeds is equals to face value of debentures minus discount plus premium minus issue expenses like your brokerage, underwriting commission, printing, and other expenses. To calculate cost of irredeemable debentures after tax, either you can simply multiply the before tax with 1 minus t, or you can simply write the formula, that is interest divided by net proceeds into 1 minus t. To calculate cost of redeemable debentures before tax, the KD is equals to interest plus face value or the redeemable value minus net proceeds divided by n, that is the number of years, whole divided by redeemable value plus net proceeds divided by 2. And when we have to calculate it after tax, we simply multiply the before tax with 1 minus t. So now let us just start with our today's topic, that is cost of equity. So let us just understand what do we mean by cost of equity. So cost of equity is the maximum rate of return that the company must earn on the equity financial position of its investment in the order to leave in change the MP of its stocks. So when we calculate the cost associated with the equity, that maximum rate of return which company must earn is known as cost of equity. So there are different ways to calculate cost of equity. We are going to study the 6 different ways in order to calculate KE, that is cost of equity. The first method is dividend yield method or dividend oblique price ratio method. The second is dividend yield plus growth in dividend method. The third method is earning yield method, earning growth method, realized yield method, and capital asset pricing model, which is your CAPM. So now let us just start understanding each of the methods to calculate the KE. So the first method through which we can calculate the KE is dividend yield method or dividend price ratio. So in this, directly you divide the dividend with the net proceeds or the market price, whatever is given in the question, and multiply it with the 100. So the formula to calculate cost of equity in dividend yield method is dividend, that is capital D, divided by net proceeds or market price, whichever is available in the question, multiply it with by 100. Students, always remember that the KE is in percentage. So that is why we are multiplying it with by 100. Same goes and applies on your cost of debentures, cost of retained earning, cost of long-term loans, cost of preference share. In all the avenues, you have to calculate the cost in percentage. That is why we are multiplying it with by 100. So with this method of calculating the KE, we can simply divide dividend divided by NP or your MP. Now let us just solve a question and understand what type of a question comes in cost of equity. ABC Limited has disbursed dividend of 25 rupees on each equity share of 100. That means your D is equals to 25 and FV is equals to 10. The market price of equity share is 60. That means your MP is equals to 60. Calculate cost of equity as per dividend yield method. So first of all, always mention what all are given to you in the question, like capital D, FV and MP. Then the second step is to write the formula, that is K is equals to dividend per share divided by market price per share into 100. And that is why it is equals to 25 divided by 60 into 100, which will give you 41.67 percentage. So everything is given to you in the question. You just need to understand that which value is equals to what. And then later on, just implement into the formula and get it solved for your answer. Now let us just understand and discuss the second method, that is your dividend yield plus growth in dividend method. Many a time, dividends have the growth rate associated with them. So in that case, you just have to add the growth rate. Rest of the formula is same. So this formula is actually part of your dividend yield method, and you have simply added the growth element which is associated with your stock. So therefore, the new formula to calculate K with the help of the dividend yield plus growth is equals to dividend per share divided by net proceeds or market price per share into 100 whole added with the capital G, that is your growth rate. Again, remember the growth rate will be in percentage, right? So now let us just solve a small question to understand how to do these types of questions. Example, company XYZ next year dividend is rupee 1, current stock price is 10 rupees and dividend growth rate is 3%. So everything is clearly mentioned in the question. You just need to identify the method, and as it is clearly given that the dividend growth rate is there, and through this formula you can apply the dividend yield and growth methods formula, you can simply solve the question, and it will be 1 divided by 10, which is equals to your 0.10 plus 0.03, which will give you 13%. Right? So this is very easy for us to calculate when we know which formula is to use and how to write the correct formula. If in the question the net proceed is given, we will write the net proceed. If the market prices are given, we will write the market price. The another method through which we can calculate KE is your earning yield method. As the name suggests, it is related with the earnings, so that is why we will use EPS, not the dividend. The only difference in this formula in comparison to the dividend yield formula is that in the dividend yield formula, you were using dividend divided by NP or MP, but in earning yield formula, you are writing EPS, that is earning per share divided by NP or MP, whichever is given to you in the question, and simply multiply it by 100 just because we need to get the amount in percentage. So let us just see the question. RS Limited shares are currently traded at price of 70 with outstanding number of shares of 5 lakh. Their expected profit after tax for the year is 84 lakhs. Calculate the cost of capital based on the price or earning method. So let us just first write the formula to calculate the KE, which is equals to EPS divided by market price into 100. Now in the question, we are not given with the EPS, but we are given with the associate figures through which we can calculate the EPS. So let us just first write the EPS formula, which is equals to earnings after tax divided by number of outstanding shares, so which is equals to 84 lakhs divided by 5 lakh. So your EPS will be equal to 16.8. Right? So we were not given directly what is earning per share, but we know the formula how to calculate the earning per share, that is earning after tax or earning available for equity shareholders divided by number of outstanding equity shares. And through that, we have received the EPS of RS Limited, which is equal to 16.8. And now we will implement this into our formula to calculate KE with the help of price earning method. So now our KE will be equals to 16.8 divided by 70, because the current trading price or the market price is 70, into 100, which will equals to 24%. Right? So now let us just discuss the another method through which we calculate the cost of equity, which is earning growth method. As the name suggests, with the earning formula, you are going to just add the growth rate which is associated with the security, and you will get the cost of equity. The same way we did our dividend yield growth, right? So for that only, we are simply going to write KE is equals to EPS divided by market price into 100 plus capital G. And this is what? This is the formula to calculate KE with your earning yield method. Right? So you have just added the growth element and you will get your earning growth methods formula. So now let us just see the question. Taking the above question, calculate the KE if the growth rate is 10%. That means the question which we were doing, this one, so we will just write the elements. That is, we calculate the EPS, which is 16.8, and MP was 70. So EPS was 16.8 and our market price was 70. Our growth rate is 10%, which can also be written as 0.10. So now KE will be equal to 16.8 divided by 70 into 100 added with 10%, and your amount and your KE will be 24.1%, right? So now let us just compare the answers. It was 24% when we were doing it without growth, but we have 10% growth now. That is why our KE is now 24.1%. And this 0.1 is just because of the element of growth associated with the securities. Now, let us just understand the another method to calculate your KE. KE, with the help of the realized yield method, can also be calculated. So for that, we will be using the net proceeds. As the name suggests, realized, realized means what is there with you. That means you are going to use net proceeds. So we have two sets of formula. Instead of MP, you are simply going to write NP, that is net proceed, in all the four formulas which we have discussed till now, right? So this was with the dividend yield, this was dividend yield and growth, this was earning yield, this was earning yield and growth. The only difference in this method is that instead of market price, you use net proceeds. So let us just have a quick recap of how to calculate net proceed. Net proceed is equals to face value plus premium amount if any, minus dividend amount if any, minus all the expenses which will be a part of your brokerage commissions, your printing and other expenses. And rest of the formula is same, and you will get your KE. So let us just now understand the one of the very important methods on calculation of cost of equity, that is with the help of CAPM, which is also known as capital asset pricing model. So KE with the help of capital asset pricing model will be equal to RF plus beta into Km minus Rf. This Km can also be written as Rm. So now let us just understand which word express what element. Rf is your rate of return required on risk-free security. So it is risk-free security amount. Your beta signifies the market risk. Then your Km is the required rate of return in the market which is going on currently, and then again your RF. When you will implement this, you will come to know what is your KE. So let us just check it with the help of an example. If the risk-free rate is 3%, the expected market risk premium is 5%, the company's stock beta is 1.2, what is the company cost of equity? So our formula for the K with the help of CAPM model is RF plus beta into RM minus R. So RF is 3% plus beta is 1.2 into RM is your 0.05 minus your RF, which is your 0.03. When you will solve it, it will be 9%. Right? Now let us just have a quick recap of what we have studied today. Today we have studied how to calculate cost of equity. We have 6 methods to calculate cost of equity. The first method is dividend yield method or dividend price ratio method. The second is dividend yield plus growth. The third is earning yield method. Fourth is earning growth method. And fifth is realized yield method. And the last one is your CAPM. Now let us just solve few questions to get a good hand on these concepts. Calculate KE if your dividend is equals to 10, your market price is equals to 50, and growth rate of the security is expected to be 15%. When such types of questions comes in front of you, the first thing which should click in your mind is which method to be used. For that, you should first write what all things are given to you in the question, and then analyze it that which formula is suitable when these elements are given. Like in this question, your dividend yield and growth formula will be suitable because K is equals to dividend divided by market price into 100 plus G. And we are knowing what is D, MP, and G in these questions as it is directly given. So let's solve this question all together. So it is 10 divided by 50 into 100 plus 15%, which will be 50 into 100 is 20% plus 15%, which is equals to your 35%. So your K is equals to 35%. Now let us just do one more question. Calculate K if RF is equals to 7%, beta of the company is 1, and expected RM is 3%. Right? So as you know, the beta factor is given, the RM and RFs are given. So we are going to use CAPM model to calculate our K. So let us just first write the formula, which is equals to RF plus beta into RM minus RF. And RM is, let's say, 10%. So after seeing the question itself, it must be very clear to you that we have to use CAPM model. So now let us just write the formula to calculate K with the help of CAPM model, which is RF plus beta into RM minus RF, which is equals to 0.07 plus 1 into 0.10 minus 0.07, which is equals to 0.07 plus 0.03, which is equals to your 10%. right? So it is very easy when you know all the formulas and you know which figure will be equal to what. In the question, it might be in a sentence form, but right now for the easy purpose, I have just given you directly the elements and we are solving so that we can have a quick recap on the formulas which we have studied. Now let us just solve one more question. Calculate KE if net proceeds of a security is 50 rupees, dividend is equals to 35, right? So we have to use realization method. So that is why our formula is equals to D divided by NP into 100, which will be equals to 35 divided by 50 into 100, which is equals to 70%, right? So you just have to analyze which formula is to be used, and generally everything is given in the question, even if you forget the name of the method, but you know which formula is to be used, right? And simple calculation, nothing complex, but the only difference is that it have many ways to calculate, but down the line the things are common. Now let us just solve one last question, and that is to calculate KE if company has issued 7 lakh equity shares and earning available for equity shareholders is equals to 70 lakh. Net proceeds is equals to, market price is equals to 50. Calculate K. So for this, we are going to use the formula, which is KE is equals to EPS upon MP into 100. So for that, let us just calculate EPS first. EPS formula is earnings available for equity shareholder divided by number of equity shares, that is 70 lakhs divided by 7 lakh, which is equals to 10. So 10 divided by 50 into 100 will be equals to 20%. Right? Isn't that easy? The only thing is to know which formula is to be used and what you have to calculate. Right? So let us just have a quick recap on all the formulas which we have studied. So to calculate K with the help of dividend yield method, it is dividend per share divided by net proceeds or market price per share into 100. Then to calculate it with the help of dividend yield plus growth, it is dividend dividend per share divided by net proceeds or market price per share into 100 plus capital G, that is your growth rate. Then earning yield is your EPS divided by NP or MP, whichever is given, into 100. So this was one of the questions. And then earning growth rate is EPS divided by MP into 100 plus your capital G, that is growth. Then realized yield, the only difference is to use the base as net proceeds. We have learned how to calculate net proceed, which is face value minus discount plus premium minus issue expenses like a brokerage, underwriting commission, printing, and other expenses. Then we know how to calculate the KE with the help of CAPM model, that is equals to RF plus beta into RM or KM minus RF. And we have solved good amount of question to get a good hand on these concepts. So now let us just have a quick recap of what we have studied today with the help of 10 MCQs. So the first two MCQ questions are on your screen. Question number 3 and question number 4. In question number 3, you have to identify that this formula is associated with which method. Question number 5 and question number 6. Question number 7 and question number 8. In question number 7, you have to identify the formula of calculating K with the help of price earning ratio. The last two questions of this video lecture, question number 9 and question number 10. So now let us just check the answers. The correct answer for question number 1 is option C. For question number 2, it's option A. For question number 3, it's option C. For question number 4, it is A. For 5, the correct option is D. For question number 6 also, the correct option is D. The question number 7, the correct option is A. For question number 8, the correct option is D. For question number 9, the correct option is B. And for question number 10 also, the correct option is B. So I do hope that you all have scored good score in this. I do hope you have scored good score in this MCQ test. And now let us just have a quick recap of all the methods again before we wind up with this lecture. And that is your dividend yield method, your dividend yield plus growth, your earning yield, earning growth, your realized yield method, and asset pricing, capital asset pricing method. These all 6 set of methods are really important, and you should know each and every formula, because in question anything will be given and you have to find out the K so that you can finally find out what is the overall cost of capital. So thank you everyone for watching this video lecture. I do hope we have understood how to calculate cost of equity and understood 6 to 7 very important methods to calculate cost of equity. Thank you and happy learning.